Hi, welcome to Audio Tips from a Pro. I'm Neil Kesterson. I've been a professional audio engineer for 40 years and I've learned a thing or two. I'd like to pass on some of my knowledge to you so that your soundtracks can shine. Using reverb can be one of the most polarizing applications in the studio. The volume, roominess, decay, timbre, and feedback can be scrutinized to death, and it's usually by me. I never know what's right or how much to apply. I'll mix a song with what I think is beautifully mellow reverb under the vocals, only to have it shot down by the artist. It doesn't hurt my feelings, it only makes me think harder about how to get inside the head of the performer. There are many types of reverb units, software, and DAW plugins. In fact, these seem to be one of the most popular types of plugins available on the market. Reverb is the shiny object that gets people excited. Nobody gets excited about the latest compressor plugin or dithering tool. Reverb can create exciting new soundscapes and even out performances. It is the most noticeable tool you can use, as compression and equalization are problem fixers rather than fairy dust. But like those problem fixers, it can be easily overused. Here are a few rules of thumb to help you decide what type of reverb, how much to use, and on what kind of material. Remember, these are only guidelines, as your creativity and outside-the-box thinking should drive your choices. Pick your room. The choice of the space your source will be in is the most important reverb decision you make. Where is your source? Inside a large hall, medium church, small bathroom, or inside a coal bucket? Each of these can have a big impact on the sound. I like to put my program in loop mode and try out different reverb settings, keeping the reverb level low, about 15%, so that I hear it blended with the dry signal. When I stumble upon an interesting setting, I raise the level to 100% wet. That's all reverb and no dry signal. I want to hear the characteristics of the reverb itself. I'm usually listening to hear if it's too bassy, thin, ringy, or other made-up words that might interfere with the overall sound. I'm looking for a room that doesn't overwhelm the dry signal, but blends with it as if it's an extension of the original sound. Large rooms with long reverb trails tend to work best under short sounds that leave room for the reverb to trail off. Large rooms will also even out singers that have trouble staying on pitch or finishing notes. But more importantly, the reverb program you choose can influence the listener. Do you want to create a moody sax solo? Try a medium to long reverb in a medium to large room. Do you need to fatten up a drum kit? Try a drum room preset or a backwards reverb setting. Are you trying to match an actor's new dialogue line to existing dialogue recorded on set in a house? Try an unfurnished room preset or small room setting with a very short decay. There's a setting for almost any scenario or mood. Real or surreal? Reverb falls into two basic categories. Real, which either simulates a given space through conventional reverb control settings, or is calculated from recordings in an actual space. And surreal, which employs exaggerated settings to create otherworldly sounds. Your material will usually dictate which route you want to go. For music, I tend to start with basic presets like large hall or small room, and then scroll through the presets. If I'm trying to match a new cut of dialogue with an existing one in a film, I search for a preset that comes the closest to the original recording space. For fantasy and horror, I will usually try the more weirdly named presets that someone had a lot of fun creating. These put the listener in a space that probably doesn't exist anywhere on Earth. How much to apply? Depending on how you're patching in reverb into your DAW editor or mixing console, your main control is wet or dry. By blending the original signal with the reverb, you are controlling the wet-dry mix. 100% dry means that no reverb is heard. 100% wet means no original signal is heard. Only reverb. Of course, you can adjust in between, such as 70% dry and 30% wet. Most reverb software have standard parameter settings in the app, or in the case of hardware, on the unit's face. Some parameters that you can adjust are room size, decay, feedback, equalization in or out, reflections, modulation, tail, and delay. By starting modestly and with most settings off or near zero, you can slowly adjust the parameters of each setting until you hear a change in the dry signal. Subtle reverb effects often go a long way when you're just trying to match an environment or add just a hint of effect. A heavy reverb mix may overwhelm the original sound, so be careful. Thanks for watching. Have a question or want to suggest a topic? Email me at info@dxaudio.com. I'm the owner of Dynamics Productions in Lexington, Kentucky. Visit my studio website at dxaudio.com. I wrote a book called Push the Right Buttons, a practical guide to becoming and succeeding as an audio engineer and producer. Get a copy or listen to the audiobook at dxaudio.com/book or at most online retailers like Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Spark Ngram, and Google Play.